hello and welcome to this edition of the Startup Central. I'm Nayantara Rai, working from home as you also must be. What's been very encouraging in the last couple of days is to actually see generosity by some of the country's leading industrialists. A lot of conglomerates, for example, have started manufacturing ventilators, masks. Alcohol companies are doing it, the Tatas are doing it, the Mahindras are doing it. But what also must be acknowledged are the startups that are rising to the occasion, not just pledging money, but actually out on the streets to try and make a difference. For example, you have grofers in collaboration with Zomato and 1mg putting up food camps in Gurgaon, in the National Capital Region. They're feeding the underprivileged. Dipinder Goyal used his Twitter timeline and his popularity to, for example, to raise over 12 crore rupees to do that. Today, I'm introducing my next guest who's also done an outstanding job rising to the occasion. These are the warriors that we have today, our foot soldiers, as India fights coronavirus. Please welcome Sameer Nigam of PhonePe, who's joining us here on Startup Central. Sameer, first up, kudos for what you are doing, for what PhonePe is doing. I don't want to tell the viewers. You tell our viewers, what is it that PhonePe is doing?
Hi, Nandara. Thank you for having me on your show, and thanks for the opportunity to tell people what we're doing. Very excited about this because what we're trying to do is we're trying to convince 100 million or 10 crore Indians to donate at least 1 rupee to the Prime Minister's Relief Fund or the PM Cares Fund as has been set up in an expression of solidarity. So while a lot of individuals and businesses are donating large amounts and we'll do our part, our goal here is to make sure that we all allow every Indian, regardless of what their net worth is, what their means are in this moment of crisis, to come together with an expression of love and humanity, and literally a rupee as a statement saying, hey, we are with the government, we are with each other, we are with society. And we've reached out to a lot of different companies and businesses, as you see on Twitter. Even the Honorable Prime Minister actually gave us a statement of support there. Very, very excited that in less than 2 days, 7 lakh Indians have already donated via the PhonePe app to the PM Cares Fund. And 7 lakh for us is less than 1% of our challenge. We're going to run this campaign all the way till April 30th. Our goal is to create the largest ever human chain of activity around philanthropy. We've been sort of told when we were growing up that India doesn't give, and what we are seeing is unprecedented amounts of giving by individuals, obviously, celebrities and industrialists and business houses, but also by people who themselves are struggling with the coronavirus-related lockdown, whose businesses are getting really adversely affected right now. But people from all walks of life, all parts of India are donating right now. And it's very, very exciting to just see that even in adversity, Indians can rally together and help each other.
That's such a beautiful thought. And like we say, we are all foot soldiers. We are all fighting this war. And the art of giving back, we must do it. And Ben Bernanke, the former US Federal Reserve Chairman, for example, has said coronavirus isn't like the 1929 Great Depression. It's more like a natural calamity. It's like a massive snowstorm. And given that we've done it during floods, we've done it during earthquakes, we must do it during coronavirus. So first of all, hats off to PhonePe for whatever it is that you're doing. You managed to mobilize 7 lakh Indians already in a matter of few days. You want to create the world's largest human chain when it comes to philanthropy. I don't really want to talk about numbers. But there is always this fear, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, so bear with me. There's always this fear that people donate, call it Indians being cynical or whatever it is, them being concerned that will my rupee actually make a difference? Will it actually benefit the cause? Or is it being eaten up in the middle? So I'm giving you one more opportunity to clarify that for the viewers. You've said this is going to be for the PM Care only.
See, I'll be honest. I think we've been told these things since we were children. Unfortunately, we are in a country where barely about 1.5 to 2 crore people actually pay taxes every year. out of a population of 130 crores. So I completely understand sort of the cynicism has been indoctrinated in us since we were kids. But that's exactly why we said, if you are cynical about whether the money is going to the right cause or will be used for the right purpose, at least get together and donate 1 rupee. Okay, because then it's not as much about, do I trust that the money will be used well, but at least about saying, hey, I understand as a citizen that this is a crisis, and let's at least give a voice of support. We will all judge the performance of the government and ourselves during crisis. That's human nature. But that should not prevent us from giving the government, which is trying everything in their means, both at the center and at the state level. This is an unprecedented crisis because the fact of the matter is, world over, where lockdowns have not happened, where healthcare facilities have not scaled up, there's a massive humanitarian crisis. And thus far, it looks like India might have dodged the bullet, but it's going to take weeks of patience and it'll take months of recovery. So, in all of this, how do you keep your chin up? How do you stay positive? All we are asking people to do is say, 1 rupee as a statement. That's why we are not saying the value matters. It doesn't matter how many crores we can raise through this initiative. PhonePe is pledging 100 crores. A lot of businesses are pledging even more. That is a drop in the bucket of what the government already has in terms of their sovereign fund. What matters is, if we can all say we're going to give up our petty differences, our cynicism, come together and donate 1 rupee as a statement. It's almost like going to vote. You may be cynical about politics, but it's your right to vote and it's your responsibility to vote. Here we are saying we want people to come out in as large a number and say, hey, we will work through this together. The government alone can't resurrect the economy. It'll take all of us. The government can't solve every humanitarian crisis at scale. We have to just figure out how to actually rally together. So this is about positivity in a time of crisis. This is not about how much money we can raise.
And that's what you're trying to make Indians feel. And like you said, you got a fantastic response. 7 lakh Indians in a matter of few days have risen to the occasion and donated for PM Cares using the PhonePe platform. I also understand that for every UPI transaction that is taking place, the Flipkart-owned PhonePe is also going to be contributing to PM Cares?
Absolutely. So we initially thought just about sort of donating in one blanket check, and we sort of come up with a CSR budget of 100 crores at a group level. But then we actually realized one of the things we have is a very, very large consumer network and a very large merchant network. And how do we use that to actually create or promote some positivity in this market and some hope? And that's when we came up with this concept of saying, hey, why don't we actually reach out to everyone and ask them to use UPI? Now, there's two quick reasons I want to share about why we're using UPI. The government has been pushing for several years adoption of digital payments. And in times like this, in fact, everyone who's got digital payments is able to pay for their utilities, is able to pay delivery agents in a contactless manner. It's a much safer place to be. And one of the reasons why we're partnering with NPCI on this and saying use UPI, if you can teach 1 or 2 people in your household, everybody can do that, how to make a payment for the PM Care Fund, if that's the premise. After that, that same individual with their phone will be able to pay for all the other money transfers and other things. So I think there is a lot of lasting societal good that can come at scale also. And it's not just PhonePe. There are pledges happening from various digital payment partners, and I hope all of those drives are very successful. So on our end, if we can achieve our goal of 10 crore users, we will donate 100 crores. If 1 crore people donate, we'll donate 10 crores. We've just tied our donation to the effort that we can expend. And I want to just share a couple of very, very sort of heartwarming stories that came back to us yesterday. There was a lady who's 96 years old who actually, along with a grandkid, they shared a video over WhatsApp where the 96-year-old woman has learned how to use smartphone, installed an app, and learned how to actually make a payment using UPI. If a 96-year-old grandmother can do it, everyone else sitting at home doesn't have an excuse to not be able to take 5 minutes and teach one more person, two more people.
That's so beautifully put. We have no business not contributing. It can be just 1 rupee. It can be whatever you can afford. It is a war at the end of the day. You know, it is a war-like situation. Sameer, can I ask you that in the 7 lakh donation Indians who have donated, what's the trend that you've seen? You know, I'm only trying to get it all out because the idea is that when there's more information, people feel more comfortable to donate, right? I'm coming from that idea. So the 7 lakhs that have used PhonePe to donate, is it the 1 rupee, or are you actually seeing higher amounts, whatever it is that people are comfortable with? Like, what's the average size?
Sure. So we are at almost 18 crores. While it's 7 lakh donors, it's almost 18 crores. So it's about 270 rupees is the average donation. Now, obviously, there are a few who've donated at the max end of the spectrum, which is 1 lakh, and many who've donated somewhere between 10 rupees to 500 rupees. Having said that, we are seeing, and this is very important to note, that the contribution of individuals does not seem to be specific to whether they're in metros or their income bracket. Based on whatever data proxies we have, the contribution is random. More than 50% of the donations have come from tier 3 or beyond towns. About 70% of donations have come from tier 2 and beyond. And when we see on Twitter and on other channels, Facebook, etc., the pictures and the profiles of people as well as tallied to our own data, it's a very diverse set of people. There's farmers, there's migrant workers, people who are in strife themselves right now, and they are opening up their purses. So I think it's working the way we intended in terms of the word of mouth spreading, that this should just be about whether you can donate, not how much. But at the same time, people are opening up their purses in an unprecedented way.
But you know, Sameer, when you're watching what's happening, there is this huge momentum also towards digital transactions, from the RBI governor to the finance minister to the prime minister. They're all saying don't go to ATMs. It's better that you do digital transactions and all of that. So when you, I would imagine, and you know, I'm asking once again all these questions out of curiosity, and also so that all those who want to donate feel perhaps more generous. So how does it work? Do you daily transfer whatever you get to PM Cares? Do you do it once or twice a day? How's it happening? Do they give you a progress report at all that, you know, you've raised 18 crore rupees, that's a very large amount. Do they give you a progress report?
Actually, we give them a progress report in some sense. What's really happening is, because we've chosen UPI and it's a peer-to-peer transfer. So let's say you downloaded PhonePe right now and transfer that rupee. That rupee will instantly be reflected to the PM Care Fund. The fund is being managed by the State Bank of India. They're the banking partner to the PM Care Fund. So in UPI, on a peer-to-peer payment, money transfers instantly. There is no 1 day delay. There's no hourly or 6 hourly or 4 hourly settlement. So consumers, in fact, through your channel, I'd like to make sure everyone understands, we don't touch the money at all. PhonePe is not touching anyone's money. We are merely an information channel. When you come in and you enter that UPI PIN, money gets debited from your bank account and reaches directly to the SBI account behind the PM Cares Fund. And I'm glad you asked that question, because that's a concern for a lot of first-time users. How does this all work? We will shortly be uploading videos and content for first-time users so that they can learn how to use UPI and they can learn how to use digital payments as well. I think this is a great opportunity. Unfortunately, it's crisis oftentimes creates opportunity, but it is a great opportunity for people because they're at home to take 5 or 10 minutes of their own time, lives for themselves and learn these new capabilities.
You know, it's sad, but every crisis brings opportunity. The last time we had a crisis, we didn't even have an Uber, we didn't have an Airbnb. Look at the number of companies that have been created post 2008, right? And how massive they are, how big they are. So having said that, and forgive me for asking this question, isn't this also a massive opportunity, a massive time for fintech companies? There's always been this impetus on digital transactions anyway by the government. But now that we're all in lockdown, pretty much locked with our smartphones and within our homes and all of that, isn't this an opportunity for companies like yourselves? Isn't this the time perhaps to also go regional, for example, in many, many languages, all of that? And, A, for your business, and B, of course, to mobilize funds for PM Cares?
So I think it's definitely an opportunity to convince and educate millions of Indians, because you have a captive audience. They're at home, they're frustrated, they're anxious about how to even transact with cash. ATMs are difficult to get money out of. So from that standpoint, yes, and I think same will be true with lending companies. Especially when the market opens, there's a desperate need for liquidity in the market at the consumer level, small business financing level. So I think it's that's the silver lining. Having said that, PhonePe itself, I mean, we are a baby of the demon era. We had launched when UPI launched, which was just about 6 weeks before demonetization happened. So yes, it gives a huge boost, but I think it's important to note that while wartime efforts, people do incredible things. You need continuity in the peacetime as well. So how people behave during a crisis is very different than how they behave in their normal walks of life. So it's more important that people understand what they can do with these super
Have you
apps or these.
seen, for example, have you seen a surge in last couple of days? Has that happened? The number of transactions, the volumes, can you share that with us?
Yeah, so take for example mobile recharge, right? It's mobile recharge apps like FreeCharge and MobiKwik, the original wallet apps. They've been around for a decade, and for some strange reason, until 2017 or maybe even 18, less than 15% of all mobile recharges were happening digitally. I mean, it's something that's so obvious that you'd want to do on your phones. What we realized was people were still, the telecom operators still had circle wise plans. So even to save 5 rupees or get a little more talk time, etc., people would walk the 100, 200 meters and get a local plan. Then, post the geo effect, as we call it, all the telecoms compressed their plans, and you're now down to about 15, 20 plans total. And so we saw right after Demon and after Geo that number of recharges starting to climb. For us, right now in the last week, recharges have gone up by
Sameer, I'm
35.
sorry to interrupt you there, but I actually meant, have you seen a surge since the lockdown? Sorry to interrupt you there. What I was really trying to get at is that, it's very well documented what happened post-demon. But since the lockdown, the last couple of days, since the Prime Minister announced it, has there been a surge?
I was just coming to that. Sorry. Yeah, there was a 35% surge in the last 10 days since the day Janta curfew hit on recharges. There's about a 20% surge in bill payments. There too, interestingly, because electricity meters are not being read because of the lockdown. Other than that category, categories like your DTH recharges have absolutely exploded online. So I think those who are already accustomed to digital payment apps are obviously using them more than ever before. But our hope is that we can convince a lot many more people to stay contactless during this window as well. And this is why we are working with the NPCI efforts and the RBI efforts to educate people on UPI, because it's unique. As a network, it allows you to send money to individuals as well. And that's what's really the need of the hour.
Okay. Sameer, with that, I'm completely out of time, so I'm going to have to thank you. Once again, a big congratulations, kudos to what it is that you and the entire PhonePe team is spearheading. I hope it acts as a inspiration to all the other founders who are tuning in, watching you at the moment, as well as, of course, for all the Indians. There you go. What do you have to do? 1 rupee is all you can donate. Is going to go directly to the PM Care Fund. There's no pilferage, there's no one in the middle, there's no commission. It's your money that's going directly to the fund that has been set up by the Prime Minister to fight coronavirus. And with that, I'd like to thank Sameer Nigam as well as the entire team at PhonePe for putting together all of this. We're going to take a short commercial break. On the other side, we've got a lot lined up for you.